Transistors, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me discussing the books that I read in March, and I'm gonna need all of y'all to give me a collective good luck because I did not take notes. So let's just kind of get into the books, and I'm going to start off with my buddy reads, which I had quite a bit of buddy reads, and I'm going to go off with the two ebooks that I have. The first two are actually buddy reads with TB, and that first one is A Taste of Blood Wine by Frida Warrington. I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars. This is an adult historical paranormal romance following young Charlotte, who wants to kind of fit in with the usual girls of her season, you know, very petite, very cute, very like, I want a hubby. But part of her would rather be in a lab with her father, that is until she meets the mysterious Carl, who kind of shakes things up for her and has her wondering whether or not she wants to continue being a pretty, like, you know, being herself, or if she wants to start sticking up for herself. I gave this, like I said, a 5 out of 5 stars. At first I wasn't sure if I really liked the book because TB had read through most of the book before I did, like, finished it by the time I was reading it, and we both kind of agreed that the first, like, good 50% of the book is nothing but vibes. It just vibes the entire time, which is good, which is wonderful, and we love that. It was just like two people falling in love and there was some kind of creepy situation going on, but then also not. And then usually like the last 50% and everything kind of hits the fan, like everything just keeps hitting the fan until the fan breaks, and then you're left with the ending and you're just like, what? So I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5 stars. I believe TB and I will be continuing on, door open because of the cat, continuing on with the series, which like by the looks of it, it sounds like it's about to get kind of sapphic and kind of polyamorous. So I'm here for it because, like, we need more of that. And considering this book was, like, written in, like, I think late 90s, early 2000s, if it started getting sapphic and, like, multiple partners in a single relationship, like a polyamorous situation, like, I'm here for it. The next buddy read I technically finished on the 2nd, but since it was so early, and I'm gonna say I finished it at the end of March. I'm gonna count it even though I mentioned it in my April TBR. And that is Wolfsong by TJ Klune. Again, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. This follows a young boy named Ox, who is not the most, but this is about Ox, who is a young boy who doesn't really fit in with the town. He's not, like, his dad has called him pretty derogatory things like stupid, you know, kind of makes him feel very down on his intelligence and himself and his worth, until he meets a young boy named Joe who kind of integrates him into his family. And this family not only makes Ox feel like he belongs, but also makes him realize that he has a bigger purpose in life than to just feel stupid. Gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. This has a lot of LGBT rep in it. I highly recommend it. Such a great book, and like will probably be hitting one of my favorite books of the year. I know it's only April, so like y'all know where I'm coming from when I say this. It was such a good book. It was a little bit like A Taste of Blood Wine. It was pretty much vibes until like you hit 30% of the book, and then everything falls apart, and it continues to fall apart until it's nothing but dust. Thanos might as well have just snapped his fingers on the existence of this book, because that is all that was left of the situation until the very end. And I was crying, and TB was emotional, so you know it's bad when both of us are emotional over a book. We know that there are, I believe, 4 other books in the series. I don't think they follow Ox, but it sounds, we're probably also going to pick it up as well, because like it was just that good, and like it was so precious. But this book completely ruined me, destroyed me, wrecked me, ruined my life and my personhood. I don't know when I'll pick up the second book because I'm completely wrecked, and yeah. So the next buddy read is one that happened with like a big chunk of the group, and that was Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I did an entire vlog on this, so if you guys want to check it out, I will hopefully have it linked down below. I don't know, I've been forgetting to do my reviews on Goodreads and linking things in the description, so I'm really sorry. I'm trying to get better at it. This is the sequel to Chain of Did I call it Chain of Gold or Chain of Iron? This is Chain of Iron, not Chain of Gold. I'm fine, I'm just aging. But this is the sequel to Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, which is set in Edwardian London following the children of the Infernal Devices. So Cordelia Carstairs comes from, I believe, Paris after her family wants to avoid a scandal that her father put them in. And while they're running from the scandal, she and her family go back to London, where she runs into some family friends of hers, and her first ever crush, James Herondale. And you know, things ensue, we have crushes, people get their hearts broken. It's just how it goes. I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars. I feel like whatever issues I had rereading the first book was quickly solved in the second book. It was, like as you guys can tell, there's a lot of heartbreak in it and a lot of just really interesting character development. Again, Cassie Clare's writing gets better every single time, and I think this is definitely up there for some of my favorite books by her. And definitely, like, Cassie Clare, if I can trust Cassie Clare to do two things, it is one, be really inclusive in her writing and create characters that are not caricatures and be very respectful of cultures and gender identities and sexualities. Does a wonderful job at that, and you can tell she puts a lot of heart and research, and she's one of the few white women that I will trust to write BIPOC characters or LGBTQ plus characters. Secondly, I trust her with sequels. Cassie Clare is, again, a master at her craft, and her sequels are always better than the first book, and they never have me feeling like it has sequel syndrome or second book syndrome. It stands on its own and sets up the plot really nicely for the ending. Highly recommend the series if you have not picked it up yet. My friends and I also did a live show, so if you are just finishing up the second book and want to see what we discussed and the absolute chaos that I may or may not have caused in that said live show, I will leave that link down below as well. The last buddy read of the month was actually one by my lovely friend Helen, and that is The Magicians by Lev Grossman. This is an adult high fantasy book following young Quentin Coldwater as he graduates out of high school and wants to attend college. However, he kind of clings on to this place called Fillory in his favorite childhood books. And as he is going to interview for said college, he finds the mysterious book of the series, and soon finds himself in an academy where he learns that he is not a normal human, but a magician and can do magic, and also is transported into Fillory himself. This is the book that started the series. Y'all know how much I love the series. No, it's no surprise that I love the book. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I found that, like, I really enjoyed it. I love the prose. I love seeing the characters and kind of how they were different from the show, as I have watched the show before the movie, and also how well the show did by staying true to the books in their own way. My biggest issue with this is that this spans a lot of time. This small book spans a lot of time. You start Quentin at, like, I think 18, and he ends up by, I think he's like late 20s, early 30s by the time the series ends, or this book ends. So I don't know what else they have in store for Quentin's entire life as the series continues. But like I said, I really enjoyed it. My biggest issue is that, not so much an issue, but something that I found, that Quentin is not as forgiving in the books as he is in the TV show. And what I mean by that is that Quentin in the TV show is a very loyal person at his heart. He is driven by making sure his friends and family are safe, and that's who he is at his core. But in this one, he's just very judgmental, and I found him to be a very unlikable character, and I think that's just my own bias because I have seen the TV show, but I just kind of wasn't a big fan of Quentin in this one. That kind of dinged me a bit, just a little bit. The next book is another DNF. Well, it's not another DNF, but it's the second DNF of the year, and that is Tiger Lily by Jodi Lynn Anderson. This is supposed to be a retelling of Peter Pan following young Tiger Lily, who is the indigenous character in the movies. Now, I had my hesitations going into this book. I got warnings from my friend Charlotte in the comments, and I still was like, well, now I want to see, and I shouldn't have seen. So basically, if you guys are unaware of the Peter Pan myth, Tiger Lily is part of the indigenous tribe that lives in Wonderland? In Neverland. And already it's a little iffy if you guys know the imagery with Tiger Lily in general. She is very clearly an indigenous woman written through the lens of a white person. Now, this retelling is not only taking that on its head, but then it's a retelling it's taking the white lens indigenous character, putting it in through a woman's white lens, because I don't know who wrote Peter Pan. And then to boot, the main narrator is actually Tinkerbell. So there's just a lot of whiteness in a book about an indigenous woman. Just a lot. And I thought, I was like, you know what, it'll be okay, it'll be fine, we'll figure something out. And then there was just a lot of wording in this scenario that I was not the biggest fan of. Like one of them, like I DNF'd this at like 50 pages. I tried really hard, I took breaks and told myself that, you know, it'll get better as I get along. Did not happen. I think I got to like page 50 or something and I was like, heck is this? And then proceeded to close the book and put it away. There were a lot of, like I said, wording that was very heavily inspired by very incorrect and kind of damaging terminology when regarding the indigenous tribe. It's very much through a view of a colonizer. Tinkerbell describes her as having very, like, puts her in a very predatory light, mentions how she stalks around as one animal, like a tiger would stalk its prey, also calls her exotic, and there's just a weird fetishizing aspect of how Tinkerbell describes Tiger Lily. Very fetishizing, and I was just like, when we got to that bit, I was just very uncomfortable and not a fan, so I just DNF'd it and called it a day. So I will definitely be unhauling this book, and you will definitely see it in a disappointing reads sometime soon, because this was like, the prose was really beautiful, like how it was written was very descriptive and very imaginative, and definitely gives a bit more depth to the tribe that was in Peter Pan. However, the descriptions of said tribe and also Tiger Lily in general were not it. It was very stereotypical and very just, it had an aspect of like othering the tribe as well, despite them being native, and then also fetishizing Tiger Lily for her very obvious, like, tropey kind of written way. Just not a fan. And finally, the last book in this wrap up is Blanca y Roja by Anna Marie McLemore. This is Anna Marie McLemore's, I think, fourth release. It's a twist on the, I believe, Swan Lake myth. I forgot what it was. Let me see. I know it's like Swan Lake and then something else. Let me just, one second. It says it's 2 fairy tales and I'm kind of blanking on it, so I will, oh, there we go. It's a mix of The Ugly Duckling and Swan Lake, following these 2 young sisters who are kind of followed by a generational curse in their family, where you have 2 daughters, and once they reach puberty, the swans in the area come and take one of the girls and turn her into a swan. And all their life, they have spent hearing people pit them against each other while they are just desperately trying to love each other. And one day they run into a boy who they had thought had gone missing all these years, and soon find an answer to their potential problems. Trigger warnings for this: there is, like I said, very obvious metaphor of generational trauma and breaking that cycle and the struggles that come with it. There's also an abusive family, very abusive family, and I think I want to say like a white collar crime. I don't know the term. And then also physical assault. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I think this is one of Anna Marie McLemore's best works yet. It's a very obvious metaphor for generational trauma and kind of the commentary that comes with just trying to break that in your own generation when everyone else is like, this is how everything's been done. This is how we have always done it. And you have to just kind of deal with it. I loved it so much, and I love seeing the relationship between Blanca and Roja. I thought it was a beautiful metaphor for like how much sisterly love can take you places and how it can protect you and give you warmth and light in situations where you think otherwise, as well as a way of having a bond strong enough to break the trauma that has carried on throughout generations. I love this book so much, and like, it's highly recommended. I highly recommend this book if you guys have not picked it up yet. After this, I think I have like 2 or 3 more Anna Marie McLemore books to read, and then I'm done. And then I'm caught up with all of their works. But like I said, highly recommend. But that is it for the books that I read in March. What did you guys end up reading? I know I kind of cheated because I included Wolfsong in there, but like I was supposed to edit that out and I did not edit it out, so my fault. But if you guys have read any of these books or would want me to read any other books by these authors, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll be sure to pick them up next time I run to the store. My TBR is slowly getting shorter and shorter as we speak, so should be a good time. But until next time, hit like, subscribe, comment, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. And if not, hopefully next week is better for you guys. Until then, I'll talk to you guys in the comments and in my next video. Bye!